Hello viewers, I'm here today to talk about sound effects in manga and what type is the ideal type to use, what I personally think is the ideal type to use, and just to show what different types are used in manga. Now the examples that I'm going to be using are all from this series, so and they handle it different from series to series, and I could agree that um, the way you use sound effects does rely on the series and what could work best for it. But here, let me just explain here. The first example we have here is Toriko, which is a really big shonen series, and in the sound effects here they use is mostly, actually not mostly, but 100% English sound effects. As you can see here, sound effects are in English. Sound effects are in English. Even at the bottom here, sound effects are in English. And it goes to show how much more work they put into it than if you think of scans. Comparing it to that, they keep 100% Japanese sound effects, and sometimes once in a while they would add a small translation of what it means if it's relevant to the story. And it just goes to show you how much work is put into these English releases, where they put 100% full English sound effects into their releases. And so yeah, that's what it's like for full English sound effects. Now let's move on to a very rare example. I very rarely see this. This is a pretty old volume. It's Neon Genesis Evangelion, where they go full Japanese sound effects without any translations within the page. He says, I know some Japanese, so I know I'm learning Japanese right now, so I know the hiragana and the katakana, which is it's actually what all sound effects are. And it says go 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 go. It's like crashing noises, I guess. It's pretty hard to understand, even if you're like me and you know Japanese. It's hard to understand the automatopoeia that's coming from these sound effects. And there is a glossary in the back, but it is kind of an inconvenience to be like, oh, there's this weird sound effect. I better go in the back and read what it means. So I think the sound effects in this were kind of handled pretty poorly, and having this kind of thing, I don't think will work very well in the future. And so let's go on to the future, which is a pretty new release. It's Viz is releasing these JoJo's. First of all, these are amazing. This is an amazing quality book. I really love these. These are probably one of the best quality books I own. But the inside is quality too because of how they handle these sound effects. They keep the Japanese sound effects, and a lot of manga industries are doing this nowadays. They keep the Japanese sound effects, but right under, if you can see, it has the English translation of the sound effect, which I think is the ideal way to handle sound effects because they don't have to alter anything. Like with Toriko, you can't really see how the sound effects really do alter some of the see the sound effects isn't touching any of the art, but some people want an authentic experience when they're reading manga. I personally don't really care too much, but they they want to have the art untouched, and some people consider the sound effects part of the art. And it brings up my point of the Akira. They are re-releasing the Akira volumes, and they're releasing it unflipped because that also affects art. And Kodansha added that they're keeping the original Japanese sound effects, and I'm really wondering how they're going to. That's the whole reason I made this video. I really wanted to know how they're going to handle it, and I hope they handle it how they handled it in JoJo and other releases like this. Like sign-in releases usually have sound effects that are like this, that have the English translation right under it. And I don't think that would affect the art too much. So let me know your guys' thoughts on sound effects. Do you guys even care about sound effects in manga? Do you guys even pay attention to sound effects in manga? Really, Mostly when I'm reading online. If I'm reading a series that's not released in English and I want to read something online, I usually don't pay too much attention to sound effects, even though I personally know katakana and hiragana so that I could actually read what the sound effects say. It's usually pretty hard to know the actual definition of the sound effects. Like, for example, like doki doki is supposed to be the sound of a heartbeat, and just by reading doki doki, you don't really say, "Oh, obviously that's a heartbeat." I already know that. So it really is important for these English releases to have these kind of things where you could actually understand the sound effects as quickly as possible. Like Neon Genesis Evangelion, you have to flip through that really small sound effects index. Let me show you. It is it's pretty absurd. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea to include this. Why would they would think someone would want to read through all of this just to get some sound effects? You know, very weird. Okay, leave your thoughts in the comments on what you think about sound effects in manga, and I'd really like to hear that. See you guys next time.